Hi everybody, welcome to another home edition version of the Old Biker Dude Show, whereas we make recipes here at home in the kitchen and invite you to follow along and make them for yourself. Today I'm going to be making another one pot special. When I was a kid, my favorite soup was beef with vegetables and barley. It came in the little can from Campbell's, or sometimes the other brand, generic or whatever, but that was always my favorite. And I have a version of my own. This is beef with vegetables and barley. I'm going to also go through the heart healthy or sodium conscious alternative as I go along. I'm going to be making mine low sodium, but of course you can adjust this and add salt if you like, things like that. But it's a one pot version that probably takes about 90 minutes when you count the simmering time to make. So it's something that can be made, pretty quickly for the family. It's basically a one pot, family size, type recipe. So here we go. We're going to make Old Biker Dude style, old-fashioned beef with vegetables and barley soup. Here we go. Now I'll be listing all the ingredients in my video description. And the steps for each instruction. Very first thing that I'm going to start off doing is I've added just a tiny bit of avocado oil to my pot, and I'm going to the very first thing I'm going to put in here is my carrots, actually, because they're the hardest density object in the recipe, and I want to soften them up a little bit even before I brown my meat. And the amount I'm adding in here is just a little bit short of 2 cups of carrots, chopped up about like that right there. And we'll toss in a little bit of butter to help things along. Now, after I've had my carrots in there for about 4 or 5 minutes, sort of stir frying in the avocado oil, I'm going to add 2 cups of chopped celery. And it's diced up sort of like that right there. Okay, now that we've got our celery and carrots with a little bit of a head start, I have chopped up a little bit of red bell pepper and a very small onion that I'm going to add in. And that'll complete my vegetables for the most part. And then basically I'm just going to sort of simmer all this until it's at a little bit of a boil with some more water to make sure everything's softened, and then I'm going to brown my meats. So I'm adding in just about a half a cup of water. And this would be the time to add in any spices or anything. I'm going to put a little thyme in here. Several good shakes, probably what brings about a tablespoon maybe in there. And then I'm also going to add a little bit of garlic, probably about a tablespoon. And a wee little bit of garlic powder, but not much, just a little tiny bit. And 2 bay leaves. And all I'm using this first 15 to 20 minutes for is to soften these vegetables. I know a lot of people start off with their meats and add vegetables as they go. I do it exactly the opposite. I like to get my vegetables all incorporated together and kind of create a little vegetable broth with that water. And I fry my meats in a separate pan so that I can discard the grease, and then I add the meats to my vegetables, and then we'll get started with all the add-in ingredients. So if you can see over here, I've got about 1/3 of a pound of sausage that I'm doing in my little mini wok here. And I'm also going to have a little bit less than a pound of ground beef. Okay, I've browned up my sausage over here. Let's try to beat it up so it's pretty small pieces. Just kind of make sure it's all nice and done there. Take my top off, try to keep the steam away from the camera. And I'm going to slide that in there. And now I'm going to brown my ground beef. Well, that ground round actually had very little very little oil and grease from it, so I'm not going to worry about, there we go. Got it all nice and coated around. We're going to try to get that in there without fogging the camera up too bad. But we'll take a look here and see that that's where we're at now. Right there. And now we've got pretty much all of our ingredients in here, and we're going to add our liquid. What I'm going to be using is 100% natural beef stock, unsalted, and that's of course to keep the sodium level down. Sodium only 35 milligrams per 1 cup serving, so that's very little sodium going into this soup here. And I just go ahead and add this entire container. Now I do use beef stock. There is a little bit of difference between stock and broth. Stock just means that they use the meat also. It's a little richer in flavor than just broth by itself, and I just like using it in my soups and stews. Now I'm a big fan of these Herbox sodium-free granulated beef bouillon packages. I'm going to throw 2 of those in here now because I'm fixing to add 4 more cups of water to this, and that way I'll be balanced out about right. Usually you'd use one of these packets for 1 cup of water, but I'm going to be adding a little bit of other ingredients that are going to make up for that here shortly. So I did end up adding 4 more cups of water, aside from the beef bouillon cubes. And here pretty soon I'll add these diced Italian style tomatoes. I choose this particular brand. You may not have it in your area, but I do it because it's sort of low sodium naturally. This company just seems to use a low sodium process, but these are basil, garlic, and oregano influenced, so it gives a little bit of an Italian twist, which I like. But there's only 150 milligrams of sodium per serving in this can. And that's, that meets my acceptability standards when I'm talking about making a low sodium soup. Now, there is one other thing I do at this point, and it's merely for coloring, but I add a little bit of paprika. It's not necessarily for the taste, but just to color my broth a little bit darker. And I also use a little bit of chili powder. I'm kind of careful. I don't want it to steal from the flavor of the soup, but I add it in more as an ingredient to color it than I do anything else. And to be honest with you, in almost everything I make, I put ground organic turmeric. I've been made to understand that turmeric is something healthy that we should all probably eat when we can. And it, when you lightly put it in, it kind of helps with color, but it's just a very healthy thing to consume. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring this back to a boil. Of course, it's going to be a low simmering boil, and I'm going to just kind of simmer it for about 45 to 50 minutes. Ooh, almost forgot one of the most important parts, and that's the barley. There's 3/4 cup of barley. And that was, of course, why I didn't mind being a little water heavy in my ratio to beef bouillon, because a lot of that liquid is going to be absorbed by the barley. Now, right here, real quick, while I'm waiting on the soup to come back to a boil, so we can start our simmer time, this is the most important part of the soup preparation to me. This is when all these vegetables are going to start to break down during the simmer time and extract all their juices and things into the soup. What I do is I keep an eye on it toward the end. And if I feel like it's a little too thin or I need to thicken it up, then I'll just mix some flour and butter in a pan over here and make me like a little thickening agent roux to add back to the soup. Okay, we've got about 15 minutes left on our simmer time, and I'm going to move the camera just a little bit, let you see that it's simmering nice and slow there. But things are looking a little thin, like I suspected. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a half a stick of butter and 1/8 of a cup of flour. It doesn't matter whether it's self-rising or not. Just all-purpose flour, it doesn't matter. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to mix these together here, and that's going to be a thickening agent for my soup, and I'm going to add that in here in just a moment. Okay, and now that my butter and flour are sort of incorporated together here and still liquefied, I'm going to also take and add just a little bit of my soup in here to you know, sort of get it to start mixing before I dump it into the pot. You see how thick all that is? That's going to get in there and help. I'm going to stir it all in, of course, but that's going to help. It's just going to be a thickening agent for my soup. Okay, it's just about the end for the soup here. As you can see, the parts are all incorporated real well. The vegetables are broke down to be just little tiny pieces at this point. And the way I achieved that was during about the last 5 minutes. I use this potato masher, and I go through. You'll probably see me use this thing in a lot of my soup recipes. And I basically just go through and kind of mash just kind of roll and mash the ingredients in there. So basically what I get after that is you can barely even see a piece of celery. Even the carrots are broke down to little tiny pieces. And that's what I'm basically looking for, is I've just incorporated all my parts together, made things a lot thicker. The barley has now swelled up and absorbed moisture. So this is looking like a finished product. I'm real happy with this. This went real well. So that's Old Biker Dude's version of beef with vegetables and barley soup. There we have it right there. Well, there we have it, everybody. That wraps up another episode of Old Biker Dude Show Home Edition. Of course, I had to get me a little scoop out of here and check it out before all the family gets to it. That's really good. Here, let me show you the color and everything. That just came out like just right. But so I'm real tickled with that. You know, soup recipes and stews and things like that are something that I just make a lot of. I like one-pot things that can be made for the whole family, easily kept as leftovers that people can like come in through the kitchen, serve themselves. You know, if everybody has strange schedules around here, we got them coming and going at all times of the night. So, you know, I like to keep things available that way. Hope you enjoyed this recipe, and you know, I always invite everybody, you know, make comments. Please like and subscribe the video if you enjoyed it. But in your comments, feel free to put anything in there that you'd like to see made, anything that you've always been curious of, how to make it from scratch. I can do it. Next episode is going to be how to make old-fashioned Southern homemade cornbread. So that's what we'll be featuring in the next episode. We'll look forward to it. Thanks for watching, everybody, and we'll see you in the next video.